Here is former Trump Secretary of State Mike Pompeo on CNBC, right? No, Fox and Friends, talking about the options he sees for the president. 118, please.
We've got a wide range of options. Some of them are already underway. Some of them are informational, right? Providing support, telling the Iranian people that we are with you, that we will support you. I am confident that has already made a difference on the ground and put the regime at more risk. Along the spectrum, there would certainly be cyber efforts. That is, efforts to go after the ability of the regime to communicate and to try and help the Iranian people communicate amongst themselves. So two alternatives. I've heard talk about Starlink, but making sure that the protesters all across this large nation, 80 million people, can communicate and continue to rally against this regime that has destroyed their just common way of life. It expands to kinetic things. The president has talked about that, saying if they kill people in numbers, that he's going to go do something that is more serious, much like Operation Midnight Hammer. There's no doubt that there are now hundreds of Iranians that have been killed, so I think they've probably crossed the line President Trump set out. Ballistic missile program would be a good target. The IRGC, which is like.
So, guys, I said this last night, but I want to on 2A tonight, but I wanted to ask you. The Wall Street Journal and the New York Times both have a little reporting on what's going on, and they say the president's considering or inclined towards kinetic action, but military strike, but hasn't decided that the vice president's urging diplomacy. There is a diplomatic track through Witkoff, but three things that to me occur when the president is about to use military force. One is they put out an advisory saying if you're an American in Iran, get out.
Get out.
Two, they put out that he's leaning towards using force. Almost every time that happens, he does use force. And then finally, it's just the body language of everybody, of the president, what he's saying, what he's not saying, Caroline Leavitt, et cetera. So, Larry, it seems to me within 72 hours, he's going to use force. Am I misreading past his prologue here?
I don't know if it's a done deal, but I think that they're prepared to if necessary. And I think, listen, he brags about, and rightly so, by the way, I don't mean to use brag as a pejorative, the mission to take out Iran's nuclear sites. That was a stunning military success. He is proud of that. And this is a moment in history. If he can in some way help those people who are struggling on the streets who are actually pro-American, it appears, I think that he's poised to do it. But I think that that threat and the posture is just as powerful as the actual execution potentially.
Yeah. Jaime, there seem to be two downsides of using military force. One is some of MAGA doesn't like the thought of it, so it's Tucker would be pissed. And the other is obviously if there's assuming no loss of life, obviously the Iranian government could say, well, this is now a U.S. operation. But doesn't it seem more likely than not that this is, given the Trump worldview, that he's going to do something in the next few days?
I think so. I mean, look, every day we're kind of talking about Donald Trump doing some sort of foreign intervention at this point. And so I think, if he has a long runway still, and if Americans believe that he's doing this and remaking the global economy or global politics to make America stronger, make our country have a better standing in the world, I think people will support him. However, the slippery slope that he's on right now is there's still so many people hurting financially and so much chaos happening in America that at some point he's going to start losing points with his base for just spending so much time abroad and spending so much time on foreign issues. I mean, he hasn't put together a plan to tackle homelessness yet, and that's been something he talked about for most of his campaign in all these big cities. He hasn't, and we'll see what happens in Detroit today, but he hasn't really put together a good economic agenda. And so it's hard for us to go out there and start nation building and sort of helping all these other countries take their country back. But we have some really strong, big, deep issues here that we haven't begun to tackle yet.
Yeah, right. I mean, since I'm sort of the MAGA whisperer here amongst the three,
you said it, not me.
I keep hearing that this is so unpopular with MAGA because it's going to piss off Tucker. There are three major foreign policy moves that the president made this year that pissed off Tucker. Working on pressure against the Gazans to get the peace deal in Israel, the bombing run on the nuclear sites, and the Venezuelan military site. And it pissed off Tucker, and 97% of people, voters, were in favor of it. MAGA voters, that
Yeah.
is. So I mean, I don't really think that's an issue. And this whole canard that we're getting frustrated because he's focusing so much on foreign affairs. I don't see it on the ground. I don't hear it from my listeners on my radio show. And come on, this is what are you supposed to do? You're the president of the United States. They have called us the Great Satan since the Carter administration. They are the #1 state sponsor of terror. You have an opportunity to maybe make the difference here. And you're going to say, yeah, but people are concerned about affordability, so I'm just going to take a pass on this.
I agree with you 100%. Go ahead.
Yeah, and I think you can walk in and chew gum at the same time. I'm not saying that he shouldn't be. I think America should be a strong company that shows its power as much as we can, particularly when we can help people. But we can't just say that things are all fine and dandy in this country when we elected this president to put America first and to lower our costs, to get the border under control, to get these cities in a place of prosperity, and to try to grow the middle class, to take people out of poverty. And even if you have money, give you a little bit more of that. And so, look, here's the thing. And I think
ending the terror regime in Tehran is America first.
I think, okay, that's fine, but I think you can walk and chew gum at the same time. But I think regardless of what we say about Donald Trump, we're entering very quickly a lame duck Donald Trump. And so his popularity at some point won't matter. And we got to start talking about Marco and JD and all those other people in this administration. How are they going to be able to sell this to the American people when they run for president? Donald Trump's going to be gone. And so at some point, this conversation gets a lot more broad than how MAGA feels about Donald Trump. And it goes back to the court issue. And I have I'm from Louisiana. You guys know that. So I know a lot of MAGA people. I know a lot of people voted for Donald Trump. And so I'm not just in this liberal echo chamber where I'm just listening to my friends who are anti-war. I'm going down to Louisiana and people are hurting. And so they're giving Donald Trump a chance to remake the global economy, but they're still watching and seeing what he's doing on the ground. And they're going to have an ear to the speech in Detroit today.
They say that something that's easy is like a walk in the park. Well, easier than a walk in the park, hit the subscribe button, be part of the two-way community, never miss an episode, be part of our conversations. Thank you for your service to America.
And don't forget, you can now listen to the morning meeting and Two-Way Tonight on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.